Hello everyone and welcome back to Yarn Creations, and I have another pattern tutorial for you today. So this has kind of been based on a request from a post that I did on my Facebook page with the cute little headbands. So I will show you a few samples that I have here, and then we'll get started into the pattern. It's a very simple pattern, and I think it's really adorable. These ones aren't quite finished yet because I haven't done the center strap for it, but I will show you how to do that in the video. So what I decided that I wanted to do, just because I like to challenge myself sometimes, or just, force myself to make multiples of something so that I just have a variety of product for my store. So I decided that I was going to make one of each size. So the pattern itself is by Repeat After Me. She's a very talented crocheter and pattern writer, so I have to give kudos to her. I will put the link to her pattern written instructions in the description so that you can go to it if you would like. So like I said, it's a very simple pattern. You repeat the same row back and forth, so it kind of just gives it this neat little design. I think it's really cute how it looks. So these ones here are actually in the child size. So I'm kind of, preparing myself for this video, so I have things done in stages. So this one here is the next size up. So this is actually 14 inches in length. So when I say that, you're going to be measuring in lengthwise based on what the pattern says. And then it's broken down into like months, and then it goes into years for which age range it would fit for a child. So, and again, of course, that's approximate. So sometimes it's always best to, make sure that you have the measurements in there so that, parents can measure the size of their child's head, or, they can just grow into it. So this one's being the smallest here. I think it's like 0 to 3 months, and then this one's 3 to 6, maybe. I'd have to look it up, but again, maybe I'll put a little box here in the corner of what the different sizes is and the age range. So far I've gotten up to the third size, and I'm thinking that based on the amount of yarn I have left over, I might only be able to get maybe one more size done, but that's okay. I can choose a different color to start again and just, keep building up my stock. I do have, we're going on the way different color scheme here, but I do have an adult size, or a teen, I guess this one falls under, because it's 20 inches. It was 20 inches long. I do have the center strap that's done, which is just doing slip stitches in the front loops. So again, that's pretty simple. And yeah, so this is just the, you can tell that it's a lot wider in the adult's size range. So it's a chain of 17 stitches, where the children's is only going to be a chain of 13. All right, so now that I've showed you the examples of what we're going to make here, now we can kind of get started, because like I said, pretty easy pattern to follow, not too difficult at all. All you're doing is single crochets and double crochets and just alternating between each stitch, and then you just repeat the same thing for each row. So tools that you'll need, you're going to need a 5.5 millimeter hook. That's what the pattern called for, so that's what I was using. I think it probably works out best. You could probably use a 5 if you're a little bit looser of a crocheter. If your gauge is a little looser, you could get away with a 5. I tend to crochet on the more tight size, so I just use the 5.5 that it's suggested in the pattern. And I've already started my chain of 13 here, but you're also going to need scissors and your tapestry needle, because we're going to have to weave in the ends, and we do have to sew the ends together, and then we have to cinch the center part here so that you get this kind of, almost looks like a bow center. It's really pretty. And then of course a measuring tape, because you want to measure how long the length is depending on what size you want to make your headband for. Okay, so let's get started. So as I said, I already did my chain of 13. So that's what I have here. I'll put a little text box or have it run across the screen there, or pop up somewhere that says you need to start with a chain of 13. And then from the second chain from the hook, we are going to do a single crochet. And then in the next stitch, we're going to do a double crochet. And then we're going to do a single. And then a double. And like I said, this is how easy it is. All you are doing is a single crochet and then a double. So we know that with a single crochet, you just go into the stitch and you pull up a loop, you yarn over and pull through both loops. To do the double crochet, you're going to yarn over first before you go into the stitch, or into the chain right now. It's not a stitch yet. And then you're going to have 3 loops. You're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2 more. And then back to just doing your single crochet. And then alternating between the 2 all the way until you get to the end. So the easiest thing to remember, because if you are just stitching, if you are just learning, I know that sometimes knowing where your last stitch is can be difficult. So just know that when you start a row, you're always going to start with a single crochet and you're always going to end with a double crochet. Okay. So to do the next row, we're just going to chain 1. We're going to turn our work, and then we are going to start with a single crochet. And then we're going to do a double crochet. So what you're going to notice is that you're doing your single crochets into what was a double crochet from the previous round, and your double crochets are going to go into the single crochet that's from the previous round. And it just creates this really neat texture, and it's really simple. And I honestly am not sure of the name of it. I always thought this was the moss stitch, but I think the moss stitch involves you skipping a stitch. But again, sometimes patterns or stitches can have more than one name. So if I look that up, maybe I'll add it in the video here if I find the correct term for what people refer to this stitch as. But yeah, so like I said, you just repeat the same rows back and forth. So they do work up fairly quickly. So that's kind of why I was, challenging myself to make one of every size, hoping that, I could get it done in a week. But I don't think I'm going to have enough to do every size. I'll have enough to hopefully at least do all of the children's sizes, which I think I need to do this and one more. I might get there, but we'll have to see, because I also have to keep in mind that I need to keep some to do the bands that go around, which I'll show you later in this video. All right, so I'm going to leave it there, just so I can show you what the next step is in finishing off your headband. I'll just finish this row here because it just makes me feel better to not leave the row unfinished. So I've changed my setup a little bit here, so I have a more open space, which I like a lot better. Before on my desk I had like a shelf, so I guess I was kind of cut off like to here, so it didn't really give me a lot of space to kind of move my hands around and stuff, and I felt like I was banging things into things all the time. So this is actually working out much better. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do the next step. So once you've, gone along and done, you know, as many rows as you need to get the size that you need. Then we need to sew these two ends together. So I'm going to take my tapestry needle here. Okay. And so we're just going to bring the two ends together. And we're just going to sew them, like just do in and out. Whoops, I'm not even in the screen. So I've just got them together there. Yeah, and we're just going to go back and forth because we're going to end up cinching this together in the end. So it's not necessarily going to have to look pretty. But you do want it to be somewhat tight and make sure that it's going to stay together. Okay. Keep getting wrapped around that corner, so I was trying to go at that at a different angle, but when I'm trying to do this on film, there's only really one way that I can angle myself, I guess. Almost at the end there. All right. So that's really all you need to do. So now it's together. Okay, so then for the next part, we are just going to, I kind of push the center in so that I have this kind of a look. That out of the way. And then I just fold those ends back. Okay, so just kind of push in through the center. It's kind of just automatically doing it for me now. So just kind of do a bit of a fold and then just fold those back. And then you just pinch it right there. And then all you need to do is just take your thread and cinch those together. I keep going out of camera. So yes, pretty straightforward, not much to it. Just kind of tighten it up a little bit there. I'll do one more. But yeah, that just keeps the center together. And then of course, we are going to put a band around it, which is going to be the next part of this video. So now all I do now is I just go in and weave my end in. So we can cut it off from here. So because this is going to be hidden underneath the band, I don't worry so much about what it looks like. But we just want to make sure that this is not going to come apart. We also have to weave in this part too before we finish off here. It's probably one of my least favorite things to do is weaving in ends. Okay, so that finishes that, and then I'm just going to get rid of this one too here. Just so that's done. And then we will move on to doing the band. So while I finish this up, we're just going to take a little pause right here. And we'll come back and finish off the little strap that you put around. Okay, so we are ready to do the center strap. So I've already gone ahead and I've done a chain of 17. So that's the first thing that we need to do. So now working from the second chain from the hook. So 1, 2, we're gonna go and we're just gonna do a slip stitch. So all a slip stitch is just going into the chain, grabbing your yarn, coming through. You got 2 loops, but you don't want to grab because that's a single crochet. We're just going to take that yarn and pull it through. And that's all you need to do for a slip stitch. Is you just go in, grab your yarn, come through, and then come through the next. And we're just going to do that all the way across. This actually makes like a really tight stitch, and sometimes the second row is a little hard to work with, and you'll probably see what I mean, which is probably why I have not done the center straps for all of them yet. But you do need to do 5 rows, but I'll show you what we do for the next row after we get through this one. So again, we're just doing a slip stitch all the way across. So we just insert our hook into the chain, grab our yarn, pull up. We have 2 loops. We just want to leave the 2 loops. We want to take one and put it through under the other. So we just have one more to do here. All right, so that finishes our first row. So now we're going to chain 1. So you can see that we have, so it kind of angles when you turn your work. So it's kind of hard to see where your actual stitches are along the top. So I find it easier for myself to kind of turn it this way facing me, and then I crochet with it holding it like this just until I can get a few stitches in. But you can see that this is our V's that we normally work with. But for the next row, we are only going to work into the front loop. So the front loop would be the one that's closest to you if you had your work facing towards, away from you. But because I want to see what I'm doing, I'm going to have it facing towards me, but I'm only going to go into that first loop of the stitch. So you can see I had to use my finger there to grab a hold of it, because like I said, it is a bit tighter of a stitch when you just do a slip stitch. At least I find anyways. Just kind of want to show you the process. Again, I find doing the slip stitch very tedious. I guess that's maybe just me. Maybe I crochet too tightly and that's why. But you'll see the effect that it has once we get going here. I'll move over to the one that I've already finished on my camouflage headband, just to kind of give you guys an idea as to what it looks like. And then I'll probably pause to finish the next couple rows just so I can show you guys how to add it to your headband. So finally I'm in the last one. So that's row 2. We only need to go up to row 5. So that means that I only need to do 3 more rows like that. But again, you're just going to chain 1 and you're going to move on to your next row. So again, now I think they're even tighter. But we're going to work into that first loop of those V's, just going once you finish that, however you choose to do it. And then you would just simply take your tapestry, how do you guys all say it? Your tapestry needle. And you're just going to sew it together. Bring the two ends together. Put it around your center. I'm probably not going to leave this one since it definitely changes in gauge. But you just do that. I bring it forward, obviously, so that you can see what you're working on or have it at the top. And then once I'm finished doing that, then I would just swing it to the bottom. But I'm not going to leave this one on here because I need to adjust that. But that is all that you would need to do, and that would finish off your headband. I hope you enjoyed this pattern tutorial. I will catch you guys all later. I probably won't have a stitch of the week tutorial this week since I've done the pattern tutorial. So I will be back next week with maybe a couple videos. I kind of been trying to change it up to doing stitch of the day and then releasing a stitch on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that's kind of the direction I'm going. So we'll see. Hopefully I can get that out to you guys. But take care, and I will see you soon.